Paintball nerd.
Today's guest on Paintball Nerd's leading lady interview started playing paintball in 2019. She went straight to competitive ball, skipping rec ball altogether. In 2022, she joined the Heroines, where she won her first WNXL World Cup victory. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Jenn Fulk.
What's up? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Jenn. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you got it.
So, how'd you get into paintball?
Oh man. Okay, so let's see. Back in the late 2000s, I was in high school, and back then that's when I met my now boyfriend at the time. That was about 2008, I think, and he was playing paintball at the time, and we had just met like a couple months prior. So I didn't know anything about paintball, hadn't seen it or anything, and so I went to an event for the first time, and like I said, I had never seen rec ball, hadn't seen a tipman, hadn't seen anything, like brand new to paintball. And I went to the event and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe this is a real thing. Like the energy was just crazy. And yeah, so from that day, I went to every event that he was playing, and I got into paintball photography. So that was my next step. I immediately got hooked on that. So I was inside the net getting shot. So I knew what that was like. Yes. But back then I didn't really have any interest in playing. I don't know. It just it didn't have the same appeal to me at that time. I grew up playing every, traditional sport under the sun. And at the time I was playing other sports, but I just didn't have any interest in playing myself. So I stuck with doing paintball photography for a couple years until about 2012. And that was when he and I both went to college, and we just kind of got out of paintball. Didn't really think about paintball, didn't watch paintball, didn't keep up at all. We had no idea what was going on with paintball and had put it totally out of our minds. So years had passed, and it was 2018, and it was 6 years later. And one day, Chaz, my husband, was like, I think I want to go play paintball. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, where did that come from? And so he bought like a DM15, and we just went out and balled, or he went out and balled, and we went out to Paintball Central for the first time in those that many years. And I was just like, wow, it's really changed since back in 2012. I mean, they were shooting 10.5. I had no idea that had changed. The bunker kits had changed. Everything had changed. And yeah, so we were out every weekend that year, and we went to World Cup 2018. And that was my first World Cup. And at that point, I was like, oh my God, like this is not what I remember. This is totally different. And at that point, sorry, my cat is trying to get in my lap. At that point, I was like, okay, there was something in me that really wanted to get out there and try it, which was surprising to me because I never anticipated that I'd want to become a player myself. So after World Cup, around December of that year, all right, she's going to make an appearance.
Yes.
There's my cat. She demands to sit in my lap. So sorry if she's in the screen or whatever. But
no, she's
but yeah.
welcome.
So I think she's. She just ripped my headphones out. Okay, well, I'm just living in her world. She's made an appearance in all of the podcasts I've been on. So
that's how it is with cats. We just live in their in their domain.
Right. I should have like shut her out of the room or something. But anyway, so we got back from World Cup, and I was like, okay, time to play. So I geared up, played one game in the woods, one game of rec ball in the woods. And I like tripped over a log, and then there was also like a creek, and I stepped in the creek, and I was like, get me out of here. Like, we're not playing this anymore. So I went up to speedball and just got dunked on, played my first point of speedball. And it was just like, I was like, okay, there's the initiation. Let's roll. So I played just through the winter, and my first event as a player was in March of 2019.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my introduction to paintball. So.
Like most people have to play rec ball, right? Because they have to go through the things of like, what does paintball feel like?
Right,
I'm gonna get shot, and then I have to like see if this hurts bad enough or doesn't hurt bad enough for me to keep playing.
Right.
But like you kind of got those jitters out behind the camera.
Exactly.
So you're like, it was no surprise to you. So you could do something like just jump straight to tournament ball, and it's not as big of a deal.
Right. And that was the thing. Yeah. And like to your point, I mean, I spent so much time watching paintball, like so up close, and just getting to kind of see. I always joke that I learned what not to do by watching for all those years. Is just like, I taught myself, okay, that doesn't work. And so there was still fundamentals, obviously, that I had to build, but I felt like I had taken like a crash course leading up into that point of, okay, this is how you hold your gun properly. Don't make a move at that point. You know what I mean? So you pick up on things just by watching. And that's definitely something I still incorporate now, even where I'm at now, as I'm always watching other players, players who are better than me, learning as much as I can from, watching YouTube videos. I watch every paintball content that I can find, good content, but yeah, I'm always looking to watch other people, see what works for them, and try to adapt that into what I do. So that's definitely a factor of mine for sure.
Well, you mentioned tripping over a log and stepping in a stream and all that. If you want to see some like old like paintball footage,
okay,
some good paintball footage from like the legendary guys like the Ironmen of old and all that. Look up Dale Price on YouTube. He's from the Paraplegic Turtles. His nickname is Pegleg. He's got a prosthetic leg.
Okay.
But he's famous.
Right.
But he's got this library of paintball media from yesteryear, like paintball when it was on ESPN and all that. So if you like to watch videos and you want a little, a little glimpse from the past, check that one out.
Heck yeah. I'm out of them. Like every time there's a new one that comes up, I'm like, yes, finally something new. Cause especially during the COVID year, I just slammed every bit of content I could. I watched all of the Planet Eclipse documentaries, like the Reckoning series, went back and rewatched Push just recently. It's just like, I've consumed it all. We have some of the old DVDs from Dirter and the contract killers and serial killers and all of that. So I'm just like, any new recommendations that you guys have, like send them my way, because I'm always looking for paintball content.
I have news for you. You may not be aware.
What's up?
I just want to make sure that you are aware that you're clearly you are a paintball nerd.
Well, it'd be fitting to be on this podcast or this show and not be a paintball nerd. So I will wear that with a badge of honor. I need a little pin that says paintball nerd.
Oh, you should. Absolutely. I got to make those pins.
Certified by Zyzik. Yep. Because I honestly, that's a compliment to me, because I love it. And it's one of those things that when we got back into paintball, I never thought that I would be, quote unquote, a paintball nerd, that I would be so consumed by it and watching it and reading about it. And just, I'm that person who's on APBA every day, PB leagues, just digging around, figuring out what's going on. I'm that person. So if that makes me a paintball nerd, sign me up.
So what do you love most about paintball?
Oh man, watching paintball. No, I'm kidding. Not just watching paintball. No. So gosh, honestly, like I said earlier, I grew up playing every different type of sport. And so I've experienced, the range of emotions that come with, different sports and the big moments in those sports. But still to this day, nothing compares to the type of energy that you get, that you feel when you're playing paintball. And it's not just, the 10 seconds on the box, which is a whole different feeling that I could talk about for days. And it's that first point for me of the first match, every event, that just like my stomach could just churn. And I don't know, it's just an emotional experience that I've never been able to experience.
I felt it just when you talked about it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And it's just like, there's just, I'm trying to think of the right way to describe it, because you can call it adrenaline, you can call it intensity, but you have those things in other sports. But within paintball, there's just this electricity that runs throughout the entire experience, as where when you look at a sport like basketball or whatever, when you have the entire game and then that last couple, 60 seconds or whatever, where everything feels like it's on the line, I feel like you feel that experience through the entire experience of paintball. So every moment feels like that. And I think that there's just a certain, I don't know of another way to describe it other than just electric. It's just, I don't know. It's incredible though. And I think that that's what makes people addicted to the game when they experience that for the first time. It's like, that's why they're sitting at home saying, I can't wait to get back out there. I think that that's the emotional response that you get from paintball that you just can't achieve elsewhere. So.
Well, tell us about your favorite memory in paintball.
Oh man. Let's see. In finals of World Cup this past year, and this is just a funny moment. It's not really my favorite memory, but I just thought of it and I had to share it. But we were playing against Destiny in finals, and I bumped from like the Dorito 4 up into the Dorito 50, and I was like trying to play it cautious, but like trying to make the right move. And I was worried that there was someone across the field that could shoot that gap. There wasn't. But I get up there into the 50, and all of a sudden I get smoked in the back of the head. And I'm like, where did that come from? And I didn't think anything of it. And I was like, that makes no sense. No one has a shot there. Like, I studied this layout. No one has a shot there. So long story short, after the match is over, we've won World Cup. We've celebrated. We're on the podium. Janaea Curtis, young 16-year-old, quiet, soft-spoken Janaea Curtis says, did I shoot you in the back of the head? I was like, are you kidding me? That was you the whole time? So, yeah, I got shot in the back of the head by Janaea, and I give her a hard time about that. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to continue to give her a hard time about that. But that was just one of those fun things. But other than that, I've probably told this story a million times now, but this past year in 2022 was my first season with my home team Underground, playing the NXL as a team. And so we came into, the first event fully prepped and ready to go. And we were so excited, and everybody was, had the right mindset going in. And so I get down to Florida a little bit earlier than the rest of the guys because I was there with the Heroines. And all of a sudden it's the night before prelims, and all of my guys' flights gets canceled. So no one is there to play except for me. And even my husband, Chaz, was stuck in a layover in Atlanta. And so long story short, my guys ended up driving overnight from North Carolina to Florida. They arrived at like 3 a.m. and had to be at the field at 5 a.m. to play our prelim matches almost in the dark. Two of my guys didn't get there. One of my guys got sick. So we were running with like 5 or 6 guys. And it was one of those moments where you feel defeated, and you're like, man, like how can we come back from this? So long story short, we had a rough first day, but we ended up turning around, scraping by to get into Sunday. And then we were just on a steamroller coming through Sunday. And the guys just banded together, and we ended up taking third. We lost in the semifinals to Wrecking Crew in a kind of nasty match. We got a couple penalties, but we felt unstoppable. And it was one of those moments that just you can't describe. We call it the fever dream. That was our first NXL. And, we were standing on the podium, and we were like, I can't believe this is where we ended up amongst all of the tragedy and the adversity. This is, and I think it just speaks to the power of friendship first and foremost. And, just being willing to fight through and fight for each other. And that kind of solidified the motto on the team, and just everybody stepping up and committing to the game. So that's my, sincere favorite memory, and looking forward to some more of that. So, yeah.
Well, it's a huge victory. I mean, you didn't get the first place that you wanted, but getting third place, despite all the challenges that you guys encountered just to get to the event, is certainly an accomplishment.
Right. And now we tell everybody we have to get there really early so that it doesn't continue to happen. Because luckily North Carolina to Florida is a drive that was doable. But if it was somewhere further like Texas, or somewhere that is a 15-20 hour drive, that might not be an option. So we've started getting there a lot earlier so that we don't run into that, because flights have just not been super great lately. So
you mentioned on the podium, you get, your teammate revealing to you that she shot you in the back of the head. But I remember something about your podium speech. You're like scanning the crowd, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, all you female paintball players out there.
Right.
And there's like kind of like this, like, this silence. And you're like, yes, I'm talking to you. Like nodding your head. I don't know who you were looking at, but you were looking at a few people, like, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jen, what message do you feel like female paintball players need to hear?
So going back to the podium thing, I think that, I didn't really have a speech plan for that. I was just kind of, there's this thing on Heroines where I always end up handing me the mic for some reason. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll be the person to speak. So I didn't really know what I was going to say. And it was truly organic. I just looked up and I saw a little girl like on her dad's shoulders. I saw a girl that's actually local to my field that's getting into paintball, and, a bunch of other girls. And it was just, that was my honest answer was, I see that you're here, and, just know that there's a place for you here. And even if it's up here on the stage with us, like, there's a place for you at your home field. There's a place for you, in the sport. And so I think that that's the biggest message that I want to send, is that, to just get out there and play. I mean, that's first steps, first things first is get out there and play. And I know that's easier said than done. And it requires a lot of courage to get out there, especially because, as you know, most women are outnumbered at their local fields. So getting out there is not an easy task for a lot of people. And I think that's something that we're hoping to assist with creating the WNXL is giving them a little bit more courage and an outlet to do that. But yeah, so step one is just kind of overcome the fear that you might feel getting out there. And then step two is have an open mind. I think is just be willing to learn and be willing to fail, because both of those things are absolutely necessary to becoming a better player and to becoming more comfortable in your own skin as a player, which I think confidence is something that I think a lot of female players lack. And I think that could benefit them is feeling more comfortable out there and more confident in their abilities. So the best way to achieve that is to learn. And that's something that I still do all the time at practice with my guys, is I'm constantly trying to learn from those who have been playing this game almost longer than I've been alive, and just stuff like that. So I think just being willing to be patient and confident and open-minded, and I think that'll take you a lot further than you might think.
I think what you're doing, and not just you, Jen, but what the Heroines are doing, what the WNXL is doing, is so important for paintball as a whole. I think that the largest untapped, we'll call it, demographic in paintball is female paintball players.
Mm-hmm.
And what you guys are doing is showing females that, hey, this is something that you can have fun with. This is something that you can excel in. This is something that you can win in. This is something that's an awesome thing to do. So I'm sure you know how important it is. I hope you do. You play a big role, because not only are you a female paintball player, but you're one of the best out there, and you play for the team that's on top right now. Right. So, there you go. There's your huge responsibility. How's that feel?
I mean, it is. And honestly, just recently I started a vlog, and I'm not really someone who had ever thought I would have started a vlog. But one of the newest players on the Heroines, her name's Brooklyn. She's younger, much younger than a lot of us. The first thing that I remember hearing her say was that she used to go on YouTube and try to find videos of female players. And that just resonated with me. I was like, you're right, there's really not any. So I kind of took it upon myself, amongst other reasons, to start the vlog, to try to, be that person that maybe some girls can watch and say, okay, I watched her do that, so now maybe I should try that, or just whatever it is. Because I think you're right. I think it is, an important role, and I don't take that lightly, and I try to say the right things and do the right things, while also just being honest about what it takes. And so I hope I'm doing a good job, honestly. And if I'm not, let me know, y'all out there. So,
well, you're doing great. I mean, I think you're doing great. I saw that trailer for the Heroines documentary. That looks badass.
Yes.
Like, you got this. You're like, you guys are like in this huddle, and you're like, yesterday wasn't good enough. Dramatic music.
Right.
We won some games that we shouldn't have won. Dramatic music.
I know.
We lost some games that we shouldn't have lost. And I was like, whoa, Jen's badass.
Well, that's what, honestly, with the Heroines, I feel like that's, there might be like a good cop, bad cop situation. And Jen's just always the bad cop who says, like, all right, guys, get it together. Like, this is crap. This is, we can be better than this. And I think it's just, holding us to our fullest potential. And I think that that's something that, there's always room to improve. So I think that was just my thing there, is I never want to, even when you're on a winning team, whether it's Heroines or whatever, you never want to give off this idea that, okay, that's it. You know what I mean? Okay, that's good enough. There's always room for improvement. We won 2 events this past year, and I want to win 3. I want to do it better than before. So, and there's no way to achieve that without, getting better and working on yourself and working in the off season. And so we've been keeping up with each other during the off season, making sure that everybody's doing like a check-in. So we make sure everybody's putting in the work and staying in shape and doing their thing, because that's not going to get any easier. We've got 2 new teams coming into the league. So everything's getting bigger, and it should. So, we'll see.
Cool. Well, Jenn, what are you most thankful for that paintball has given you?
Oh man. Well, speaking of the Heroines, honestly, before I got that call, the very first call from Rosie McCurley, who I didn't know at the time, and she had asked me if I wanted to be involved with the WNXL. I was very skeptical at first, and when something's new like that, you're not really sure what's coming. And now a year and a half later, it's like, I can't imagine having not had, this experience. It's before the Heroines. I really didn't have that many friends that were girls. I have like one really close friend who's a girl, and I'm always with my guys, and they're obviously great friends, but just the friendships that I've built with the girls on the Heroines, as well as with Anthony and Lori Vitale and Lori Miller. It just, I can't describe, how important that's been to me, not only as a person, but as a teammate, and just, yeah. So I would definitely have to say friendship. That's just, it sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth. And like I said, I've already mentioned the story about my guys and coming together, and they're honestly my best friends. So it's just, that's what paintball can do. That's the power of paintball, and like I said, I grew up playing other sports, and it's just, paintball's different. So the friendships has got to be the thing. So
awesome. All right. Well, Jenn, thank you so much for your time here. Is there anything that you'd like to part with for the paintball community?
I mean, you kind of touched on it already. We have the documentary coming out. I think at the time of recording this, we have just released a full-length trailer. So we had the teaser, and then we've got the full trailer, and I've watched it probably 15 times now, and I'm just blown away by what Caleb Fernandez and 1424 Media have done with this project. It's even bigger than I ever would have imagined. And so shout out to him and to JT, and for everybody involved with putting this together. I think it's going to be fantastic. So be on the lookout for that. I think it comes out February 12th. It'll be the part 1, and then there's a second part after that. So go to the Heroines YouTube channel, I think is where it's going to be. So check it out there. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Thank you for having me and calling me a paintball nerd and giving me some more paintball videos to go watch. So yeah, I appreciate it, really.
Thanks, Jenn.
Yep, you got it.